All right, everybody, what is up? It is the man Lincoln Clay coming back at you with a very serious video, probably the most important video that I'll ever make on YouTube. Um, so no introduction, like I normally do. Um, I'm gonna do my best to try to keep this video, somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes, but so much stuff has been running through my mind. Um, I want to talk a little bit more about this FTC shit. And for those of you who watched, you know that a few days ago I made a video in relation to this FTC COPPA YouTube change in service, which I think YouTube has probably throttled it because the video got only so many views and then it stopped. But my other videos that was made before and after that continue to get views. So I kind of think that YouTube may have possibly throttled that video or even blocked it from getting out. And if they do it to this video, I wouldn't be surprised. But to go back and talk about this FTC copper shit, as I was saying, a few days ago, I made a video about this stuff, and in the video that I made about this FTC copper YouTube situation, I made a comparison to like us content creators being wildebeest trying to cross the Masai River, because they cross the Serengeti every year in search of lush Greenland, and they have to cross the Masai River to get to that lush grass. That also means having to cross a river that's full of crocodiles, and I referenced the FTC as those crocodiles. We are the wildebeest trying to cross that river, and the FTC is the crocodiles just waiting on those wildebeest to cross the river. And I originally kind of felt like, I made a comparison of like how wildebeest cross that river in the hundreds, and because of that, they're usually the odds of a particular wildebeest going down, the odds are in their favor when they stick together like that. But there will be casualties. Some of them will go down because the crocodiles will get some of them. Some of them will die when they get trampled over by other wildebeest once they reach the other side of the river, trying to climb out of there. Some of them will get stuck in the rocks trying to get out of there. So there will be casualties. And but after I thought about this situation more and more, it's much worse than that. This situation now, after I stopped and thought about it, this situation isn't the wildebeest crossing the Masai River. This is a situation where YouTube, the way I describe it, YouTube has built a pen and a gangway that connects to a slaughterhouse. Um, the FTC is that slaughterhouse, and the pen in the gangway that leads to the gates of that slaughterhouse is YouTube. And they're using that pen to corral the cattle to make sure they don't run off. And on December 10th, YouTube will start herding the cattle, which is us, down the gangway towards that slaughterhouse. And on January 1st, the doors of the slaughterhouse will open for production and the slaughtering will begin. So I'm going to try to brief this, but I need to do it because I'll I'll kind of explain the events, which most of you already know about on the surface. And then I'll go underneath that to give my thoughts on really what's going on, because, I can't be a conspiracy theorist. And I'm the type of person that when I don't look for something, I don't see it. But when I look for something and I take time to think about it, I see a lot of shit. Sometimes it might take me days to, put all the pieces together. But when I like kind of do my own investigating, then I end up seeing a lot of shit. So with this FTC shit, as you guys already know, I think back in 2017, the state of New York filed a complaint against YouTube. And I think that's important to point out, because I didn't know this until I watched another video. I've watched a ton of videos. I've watched videos from lawyers and other YouTubers and that kind of stuff, and tried to piece this whole thing together. And that was the most recent bit of news that I found out, was that the state of New York filed a complaint against YouTube that I believe in 2017. Now, what's interesting about the state of New York filing this complaint, first of all, I don't know if the state of New York filed this complaint as a separate plaintiff, or if they filed this complaint on behalf of the FTC. I really don't know, because I was at work in the particular video that I was listening to. I wasn't able to listen close enough to get to that part. But what I did hear the lawyers say was that once that complaint was filed against YouTube, they instantly complied, with the complaint, and didn't try to put up a fight. And you would think a powerful entity like YouTube, if they didn't do anything wrong, they would fight tooth and nail to avoid prosecution. But they instantly complied, and some videos say they were fined $170 million. Some videos say they settled for $170 million. Now, if they settled, that is crucial. That word "settle" is what drives me to this conspiracy theory that I have. So if YouTube settled with the FTC for $170 million, so let's go back to why they got in trouble in the first place. In a nutshell, they violated COPPA, Child's Online Privacy Protection Act. They were collecting information on kids and basically feeding ads back through the videos that these kids were watching. And according to COPPA, you cannot do that to kids under 12 years old. Anyway, so I can skip over that and get to the part about YouTube settling out of court for $170 million. So if they did settle out of court, to me, that means that if the fines would have been implied, that it probably, the money that YouTube could have been fined probably could have been much, much worse than the $170 million that they paid up, or that they settled on. I'm not even sure they paid up, because I have a theory about that too. So I'm led to believe that the fine that they could have got hit with probably could have ran close to $1 billion. Who knows? But I definitely believe that it was, the amount that was probably presented to them was much, much worse than $170 million that they settled for. So here's where well, I'll further go on. I'll go on further. So they settled for $170 million, and to comply with COPPA, YouTube is implementing a mandatory step where you have to mark your videos as for kids or not for kids. So, as some of you know, if you mark your videos for kids, YouTube basically locks you in a closet. I believe your video is demonetized. Your video comments are shut off. Notifications are shut off. End cards are shut off. And your video is unsearchable. I believe ads don't run through these videos either. So if you make a video for kids and you market for kids, basically that video is not going to generate any kind of revenue because, like I said, YouTube locked you in a closet. So your only other option, if you want to get the video out there, is to mark the video not for kids. And that right there drops you right into the lap of the FTC. So if you mark your video is not for kids, that doesn't make you safe, as we already know. Because as people have been pointing out, that you mark your video for kids, but they find elements in the video that is targeted towards kids or kid appealing, meaning if there's any part of the video that kids may find appealing and want to watch it, you can still be fined. So if you make a video, as we've talked about before, if you make a video on a Fortnite stream, but you mark that video as not for kids, we know a lot of kids like Fortnite, and we know that a lot of kids will watch that video because it is a Fortnite video. You can still be fined up to $42,000 per video. Now, the other part that makes this whole conspiracy theory interesting, that I believe that in the videos that I've been watching, that I believe that I think around 2015 that the FTC acknowledged that it's basically three kinds of content. You have for kids, which is pretty direct, not for kids, and that's where the super gray area is that I just explained, and the general audience, which I would be led to believe that if you would have classified your video as for general audience, that would probably absolve you from any kind of fines or prosecution. But when YouTube implemented this new system to mark your videos, they did not implement the general audience or the mixed audience. They gave you an either or option. So it's either for kids or not for kids. They could have put in the general audience option and everything would have been cool. Content creators could have went about their normal business, made their videos and whatnot. But because they didn't put the general audience into the options, it puts you in an either or situation. If you make your video for kids, YouTube locks you in a closet and cuts you off from all revenue. If you mark your video not for kids, then you are at the mercy of the FTC. So what YouTube basically did was force your hand. They closed off the for kids option. They did not add the general audience option. That only leaves one option, and that is not for kids. So they basically dropped you into the lap of the FTC. So you could get a fine. Now, where my conspiracy theory comes in. I should mention one more part before I go into the conspiracy theory. Also, we know about the YouTube terms of service that's coming up December 10th. Long and short of it, they can deem your video. They have the right to terminate any channels they deem not commercially viable. And I think that ties into the conspiracy theory also, because after I thought this whole thing through, I think somebody thought this thing out, and I mean really thought this thing out, because we are essentially being railroaded right to the FTC. So This is what I think happened from a conspiracy standpoint. YouTube got busted for collecting kids' data. Oh, you know what? I'm going to come back to that. I still need to mention one more critical element that I think. The FTC, when they made their video letting everybody know that, they basically sent out a threat that they're going to be watching all kinds of videos. Now, this is the fucked up part, and this is where the big giant smoke screen comes in. They said YouTube was the fish, and they said YouTube was the barrel, and content creators were the fish in that barrel. In the way he issued that threat, he made it sound like content creators and YouTube was one big conglomerate that was operating illegally. What YouTube got in trouble for and what they're telling us that they're going to be looking out for is two different things. YouTube got busted for collecting information. They're going to be watching us to make sure our videos are not targeted for kids. Those are two different circumstances. But the video, the way he threatened everybody in that video, he makes it sound like the two are intertwined. Like YouTube and the content creators were operating an illegal business. That's just another smokescreen to implement what I think is a plan to have bodies handed over to them. So now I'll go ahead and go back to the part where I think the conspiracy shit comes in. What's underlying underneath all this shit. I think YouTube got in trouble, as I said before. They got a complaint, and YouTube instantly complied with them. I think the FTC sat down with them and said, this is what you did. We have proof that you did it. This is how much fines are going to be. And I think YouTube said, okay, let's make a deal. What do you want to do? We're all ears. So I think what happened was they told YouTube, this is how much we're willing to settle for. What I think YouTube probably did. Now, this is the part where I'm not sure whose idea this might have been. But what I think might have happened is this $170 settlement. I think YouTube might have paid some of it up front, like 170 million. I mean, out of the 170 million, they might have paid 100 million of it up front and devised the scheme for the FTC to get the rest of the money back through us, through content creators. So to make this plan happen, YouTube devised the system that gives you an either or option. Choose for kids, your video is shut off. It's basically cut off from the rest of the world. Mark it not for kids, and that drops you right into the lap of the FTC. That is the gangway that I'm talking about, that takes you right down to the gates of the slaughterhouse. So basically, what I think's going to happen is that I think that the FTC is going to fine hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of YouTubers. But I think the fines are going to be so small for some people that they'll just pay it and just keep going about their YouTube business. Now, supposedly, the FTC is acting like, they're listening to comments on a petition. Petitions don't mean shit. We know legislature and all that shit, when they go to change laws, to try to make this thing more black and white, they go to change laws. We know this shit can take years. Somebody's got to, draw the bill up. It's got to be proposed. It's got to be voted on. That shit can take years. How many people do you think the FTC is going to be able to find during that few years that it's going to take to get something in black and white that makes things more clearly for content creators? Do you think the FTC is really gonna say, we know this thing is sketchy, we're working on it, so we're not gonna find anything, we're not gonna find anyone until we can get something more definitive that everybody understands? No, they are going to find people during this 3, 4, 5 years, however it may take, to get a new law in place that clearly defines what kind of content violates COPPA. So again, I think they're going to find hundreds of thousands or even millions of YouTubers over the years. And you think about this on a large scale. Let's say the FTC fines like 1 million YouTubers $100 each. That is $100 million. Even if YouTube didn't pay them anything, in the 2, 3, 4, 5 years that it could take to get another law in place, the FTC could fine enough people enough money that they could probably get double the $170 million settlement that YouTube supposedly agreed to. And because there's basically no escape from this shit. So now, let's talk about some of these dumbass YouTubers that's talking about, they think, if you do this, I think you'll be safe. I don't think anything will happen. It based on what is defined by COPPA for not for kids, any one of us could be fined for posting a video that could have an image, a video, language that is kid appealing. Any one of us can get hit with a fine. Nobody is safe from this. So for those YouTubers and shit like that talking about, I don't think anything will happen to you and stuff like that, blow that shit out your ass. So now, talking about about YouTube's terms of service, about what they deem as commercially viable, I take that as a translation as, if you're working and you're putting out content, they won't delete your channel. I think the channels that's going to be deleted are the channels that don't have any subscribers, only have 1 or 2 videos, and they haven't been active for years. I think those are the videos that's going to get deleted. I originally thought that my channel might be one of the channels that they could end up getting deleted, because I have 576 subscribers. So I don't have enough subscribers to meet the threshold to monetize my videos, and I don't let any ads run through my videos because I don't want YouTube controlling what I say. Therefore, my videos don't make any money. Or do they? Now, so I really thought that there was a strong chance that my channel could get deleted. But now that I stop and think about it, I don't think my channel will get deleted, because I am active. I am putting out videos. And for every channel that YouTube goes off and deletes, that's one less body that they can hand over to the FTC. So in other words, if you're a prostitute that's willing to get out on that street and work, YouTube ain't going to delete you. But if you're somebody who don't want to work and put out content, then yeah, and you haven't made any videos and shit like that for God knows how long, then yeah, I think they're going to terminate your channel. So everybody who continues to put out content, in my opinion, I don't think it matters if you got 100 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers. If you are regularly putting out content, I do not think YouTube will delete your channel, because for everybody that is actively producing content, that is another potential person that the FTC can get their hands on and hit them with a fine. So that drives me to my slaughterhouse theory. YouTube built a pen to corral all the cattle and a gangway that leads straight to the slaughterhouse. And on December 10th, they will start herding the cattle towards the slaughterhouse. And on January 1st, the slaughterhouse will be open for business. And then that's when all the slaughtering will begin. And I think the reason why the number of people that's going to get fined will be so high is because the fines will probably be within affordability for a lot of people to pay the fine and just move on. You know, take a YouTuber that's got 1 million subscribers, and YouTube were to hit them with like maybe a $200 fine. They'll just pay the $200 fine and keep on going with their YouTube business. For somebody like me who doesn't generate any money, it could go one of two ways. They could fine me $50 because I'm not making any money off of YouTube, so I would have to pay the fine from my regular job that I work. Or I could be the person that they decide to make an example out of and hit me with a $42,000 fine, because they're definitely going to hit a couple of people with some fines and let it be public so we can all see that they mean business and put the fear of God in all of us. But after that, I think maybe Twitter's probably going to blow up with a bunch of people talking about they got fined and how much the fine is. And again, if the FTC were to go on a rampage and start hitting people with $42,000 fines left and right, YouTube would collapse because so many people would quit the platform and go somewhere else. So if you want to get that money, you got to keep them working. You got to leave them enough money to survive so they can continue to try to work. So I think the FTC is going to hit people with fines that are relatively small. And so these people will not leave YouTube and continue to make content and continue to make money. Also, another reason why I feel that this is a bullshit ass bullshit ass plot is because these COPA guidelines that they are telling us that we have to comply with, I would be led to believe doesn't apply to only YouTube. That it seems like it would apply to other streaming platforms like Twitch or Mixer. But that guy that sent out that threat from the FTC didn't mention anything about, we're going to be watching content creators on all platforms, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Mixer. He basically said that YouTube is the borough and we are the fish. That further, to me, solidifies my theory that this is a fucking plot, for the FTC to get some money. Now, the big thing I don't know is I don't know if, like I said before, if YouTube settled up with the FTC for that $170 million, I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if the fine could have been $500,000. YouTube, YouTube might have told them, okay, we'll settle, we'll pay you $170 million up front, and then they devised the plan for the FTC to get the money from us, to get the rest of the money from us. So as far as I'm concerned, this has nothing to do with protecting children. YouTube got hit with a super big ass fine. They paid part of it, and they're making us pay the rest of it. But if they were to say it outright like that, then so many people would quit YouTube and go somewhere else. And I think some of these YouTubers have been put in place by YouTube saying don't delete your channels yet and blah blah blah. It doesn't mean you're going to catch a fine and blah blah blah. All these videos that people are talking about, the one thing that nobody has said is that the FTC possibly hitting us with fines is not illegal. Nobody said that this shit is illegal, what the FTC is talking about doing. So again, the FTC is the slaughterhouse, and YouTube is supplying them with cattle, with the cattle. And like I said, in the few years that it could take to get legislature to change a law to something more definitive, something that everybody understands, we know that shit could take years. And how many people do you think that, how many fish in that YouTube barrel do you think the FTC will shoot in those years while we're waiting for a more definitive law to come along? So I originally thought there was going to be a few casualties. There is going to be a lot of casualties, but I think the casualties are going to be minor. People going to get slaps on the wrist, maybe a little cut on the arm or whatever, but I don't think they're going to be that many fatalities where people just leave YouTube because they got hit with, $400,000 in fines. I don't even think they would do that to PewDiePie because he's their biggest moneymaker. But I do want to, from my previous video that I said before, I said that I believe that, behind closed doors, YouTube probably went to the FTC and said, don't hit these people with fines that are too hard, because if they quit and leave YouTube, then that hurts our business, because at the end of the day, they still generate the money for us. And then not only that, they make more money by running those ads through these videos. You can't run ads through videos if there's no videos to run ads through. So at the end of the day, we are still the most important element of YouTube. So I still believe that YouTube probably behind closed doors said, don't hit these people so hard that they quit. Take a couple bucks from this person, take a couple bucks from that person, but don't hit them hard, because the one thing we need them to do is to stay on the platform. We need them to stay on the plantation. So I still plan to follow through with my plan to delete my videos. And I had planned to go radio silent, because I feel that's the safest way to stay out of the FTC's way, unless I just leave YouTube altogether. But truth be told, if I go that route, it's probably not a matter of if, but when YouTube terminates my channel. Because again, I've said before, I think that as long as you're active, I think YouTube isn't going to terminate your channel, because it drops you right into the lap of the FTC. But if you're not active and you're not producing anything, and there's pretty much no videos on your channel, it's going to get deleted, because that is a potential body that they won't be able to hand over to the to the FTC. So feel free to comment, because I really do think this is a plot for us to pay the balance of whatever this fine was that YouTube got hit with. So that's going to do it for me. Hopefully this video won't get blocked and it won't get throttled, but I am going to save this video, and I may possibly re-upload it at a later date, because I think this process of the FTC running all these carcasses through their slaughterhouse, I think this is going to go on for a few years. So with that being said, I could probably re-upload this video at any given time. So that's going to do it for me. I got to get ready for the roundtable here in about another hour and a half. I did want to make another video talking about Microsoft and Mr. One Phil Spencer, talking about that nobody's asking for VR. Oh my God. But I'll probably make a video about that tomorrow. Either that, or I'm sure that's, if we do the roundtable tonight, that's probably going to be a hot topic on the roundtable. So you can tune into the roundtable and get my thoughts there. So with that being said, I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here. For those of you who decide to go on creating content as usual, best of luck. hopefully you won't be one of the peoples that, hopefully I won't see your channel hanging on this meat rack waiting to be fined. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch y'all later. Deuces.